Good morning, ladies. Happy Tuesday. I hope this message finds you well. I'm dragging butt this morning. I hit the snooze button quite a few times. Woke up at like 2:15 for what? I have no idea, but I'm going to get the day going. I have to head into the office, but we are going to do Bible in our year. Bible study on Exodus chapter 16, 17, and 18 is what we'll be reading over today. Hopefully you've gotten a Bible all ready to follow along with, or wherever this may find you while you're driving. Hopefully the word resonates with you, but I encourage you to definitely read on your own and pray. Ask for answers. Let me tell you, a lot of answers coming out of that book, especially when you need it the most. So, hopping on to chapter 16, 17, and 18, verse 1 of Exodus of chapter 16 goes like this. And they journeyed from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they departed from the land of Egypt. Then the whole congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. Verse 3, and the children of Israel said to them, Oh, that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the pots of meat, and when we ate bread to the full. For you have brought us into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Then the Lord said to Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain quota every day, that I may test them, and whether they walk in my law or not. Verse 5, and it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. Then Moses and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, At the evening you shall know that the Lord has brought you out of the land of Egypt. And in the morning you shall see the glory of the Lord. For he hears your complaints against the Lord, but we that you complain against us. Verse 8, but also Moses said, This shall be seen when the Lord gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to the full. For the Lord hears your complaints which you make against him. And what are we? Your complaints are not against us, but against the Lord. Verse 9, then Moses spoke to Aaron, Say to all the congregation of the children of Israel, Come near before the Lord, for he has heard your complaints. Now it came to pass, as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of the Lord appeared in the cloud. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying that I have heard the complaints of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, At twilight you shall eat meat, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread. And you shall know that I am the Lord your God. Verse 13, So it was that quail came up at evening and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay all around the camp. And when the layer of dew lifted, there on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance as fine as the frost on the ground. So that when the children of Israel saw it, they said to one another, What is it? For they did not know what it was. And Moses said to them, That this is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat. Verse 16, This is the thing which the Lord has commanded. Let every man gather it according to each one's need. 1 omer for each person, according to the number of persons. Let every man take for those who are in his tent. Verse 17, and the children of Israel did so and gathered some more, some less. So when they measured it by the omers, he who gathered much had nothing left over, and he who gathered little had no lack. Every man is gathered according to each one's need. And Moses said, Let no one leave any of it till morning. Verse 20, notwithstanding they did not heed Moses, but some of them left a part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was angry with them. So they gathered it every morning, every man according to his need. When the sun became hot, it melted. Verse 22, and so it was on the 6th day that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one, and all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. Then he said to them, This is what the Lord has said. Tomorrow is a Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake today, and boil what you will boil, and lay up for yourselves all that remains, to be kept until morning. So they laid it up until morning, as Moses commanded, and it did not stink, nor were there any worms in it. Verse 25, and Moses said, Eat that today, for today is Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the 7th day the Sabbath there will be none. Now it happened that some of the people went out on the seventh day to gather, but they found none. And the Lord said to Moses, how long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? Verse 29, see, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath, therefore he gives you on the sixth day bread for 2 days. Let every man remain in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day. So that the people rested on the seventh day. Verse 31, and the house of Israel called its name manna, and it was like white coriander seed, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Then Moses said, this is the thing which the Lord has commanded. Fill an omer with it, to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread with which I fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you out of the land of Egypt. And Moses said to Aaron, take a pot and put an omer of manna in it, and lay it up before the Lord, to be kept for your generations. As the Lord commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Israel ate manna 40 years, until they came to an inhabited land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is 1/10 of an ephah. We're on chapter 17, Exodus. We're going to start talking about water from the rock. Verse 1, then all the congregation of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the commandment of the Lord, and camped in Rephidim. But there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people contended with Moses and said, give us water, that we may drink. So Moses said to them, why do you contend with me? Why do you tempt the Lord? Verse 3, and the people thirsted there for water, and the people complained against Moses and said, why is it that you have brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, what shall I do with this people? They are almost ready to stone me. Verse 5, and the Lord said to Moses, go on before the people, and take you some of the elders of Israel. Also take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock in water till when water will come out of it, and the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. So he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the contention of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? Verse 8, now Amalek came and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said to Joshua, choose us some men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses said to him, and they fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And verse 11, and so it was, when Moses held up his hand, that Israel prevailed, and when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands became heavy. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side, and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until going down the sun. So Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. Verse 14, and the Lord said to Moses, write this for memorial in the book, and recount it in the hearing of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called its name, the Lord is my banner. Verse 16, for he said, because the Lord has sworn, the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Last chapter, chapter 18, we're going to talk about Jethro. Verse 1 goes like this. And Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Verse 2, then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back, with her 2 sons, of whom the name of one was Gershom, for he said, I have been a stranger in a foreign land. Verse 4, and the name of the other was Eliezer, for he said, the God of my father was my help, and delivered me from the sword of the Pharaoh. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife to Moses in the wilderness, where he encamped at the mountain of God. Now he had said to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons with her. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, bowed down, and kissed him. And they asked each other about their well-being, and they went into the tent. And Moses told his father-in-law that all the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians of Israel's sake, all the hardship that had come upon them on the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. Verse 9, Then Jethro rejoiced for all the good for which the Lord had done for Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, Blessed be the Lord, who has delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh, and who had delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Verse 11, Now I know that the Lord is greater than all the gods, for in the very thing in which they have behaved proudly, he was above them. Verse 12, Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and other sacrifices to offer to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. And so it was on the next day that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood before Moses from morning until evening. So when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did for the people, he said, What is this thing that you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit, and all the people stand before you from morning until evening? Verse 15, And Moses said to his father-in-law, Because the people come to me to inquire of God. When they have a difficulty, they come to me, and I judge between one and another, and I make known the statutes of God and his laws. So Moses' father-in-law said to him, The thing that you do is not good. Both you and these people who are with you will surely wear yourselves out. For this thing is too much for you. You are not able to perform it by yourself. Verse 19, Listen now to my voice. I will give you counsel, and God will be with you. Stand before God for the people, so that you may bring the difficulties to God. And you shall teach them the statutes and the laws, and show them the way in which they must walk and the work they must do. Moreover, you shall select from all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. Verse 22, And let them judge the people at all times. Then it will be that every matter they shall bring to you, but every small matter they themselves shall judge. So it will be easier for you, for they will bear the burden with you. If you do this thing, and God so commands you, then you will be able to endure. And all this people will go also to their place in peace. Verse 24, So Moses heeded the voice of his father-in-law, and did all that he said. And Moses chose able men out of Israel, and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. So they judged the people at all times. The hard cases they brought to Moses, but they judged every small case themselves. Last verse, Then Moses left his father-in-law, depart, and he went away to his own land. And that is all for today's Bible study, ladies. People have been complaining from the end of time. So hopefully you enjoyed it, received word. If you want to talk about it, send me a message. If you need any prayer, please send me a message as well. Let's have an awesome day. Let's finish this. Talk to you soon.